Right at the bottom.
Okay, so we should be recording now. Yep, I see the record button. Okay, so first of all, go to toastmasters.org. And did you get an email like welcoming you to Toastmasters or welcoming you to Pathways, something like that?
I got the new member packet.
Okay, and you got that from toastmasters.org or one of your members at Pinnacle?
One of the Pinnacle members.
Okay, so let's try logging in, and you may have to create your password, and that's fine. We can walk through that. So if you click on the login up at the top, it'll go to the email address that you signed up with. And if you don't remember that, I might be able to look it up for you. But if you got an email from Toastmasters International, that will be a dead giveaway, right? And even the club, so if they sent you an email, it should be the same email address. So when you log in, if you've never logged in before, go ahead and put your email address in first, and then click on Forgot Password because you haven't set one up. So this will kick it off to create a new password for you. And then let me know if you have any trouble with that.
I'm logged in under my name where it says welcome.
Sorry, say that again. You were able to log in? Okay, okay, perfect. Andrea, are you getting set up or?
I'm logged in.
Okay, you're logged in? Okay, perfect. Okay, so once you log in, and there's a couple things, you can log in first or you can go straight to Pathways and then it'll ask you to log in once you get there. So either or, it doesn't matter. Once you're logged in or when you first come in, if you go to this Pathways, you can go to Basecamp. That's usually where I direct everybody because that's where you're going to spend 99% of your time is Basecamp. So to give you a little history of what Pathways is our educational program that we have in Toastmasters. And they created Pathways a couple years ago, and right now it has 11 different paths that you can choose from. And every path is a little bit different to help you work on different skills that you want to work towards. There are a lot of similarities with the paths, but there's also some differences. So when we get in here, it'll actually give you the opportunity to take an assessment, and you'll answer about 20 questions, and then it'll recommend a path for you to take. You don't have to choose the path that it recommends. You could choose something different, but it will actually recommend one. And then once you get into your actual path, which we'll go down that road here in a minute, but it's kind of like doing a computer-based learning, right? So you go through and you watch a video, you read some pages. It's got some handouts that you could print out if you choose to, or save to your computer. It's got your evaluation form, things like that. So it's basically computer-based learning, and then you work through it. And it's set out in different projects, and then each project builds up to a level, and then each level builds up to a completed path. So what I would do is when you first go in, and the first path that you select is actually free. It says $20 here. That's if you do a second path, then it would be $20. But your first one, you've already paid for. Click on Continue to Path Selection. And in here, you want to pick, answer the questions it has here. Select your language. If you want something different in English, you can change that. How would you like your materials? You can do the digital version, or you can do the printed version. Now, the printed version costs an additional $25, and they'll have to mail that to you. And so you'll have to wait from time to time for the next set to come through. So I'm going to go ahead and select digital resources here. Now, the next thing is going to ask you is, how do you want to select your path? And this is where you can take the assessment, or you can view the paths and the options. I recommend going ahead and taking the assessment and just seeing what it recommends for you. And then once you've taken that, you can, make your decision, or you can go back and view all options. So if you guys are in there, why don't you go ahead and take that assessment, and I'll be quiet for a few minutes so you can take that assessment. And no rush, just let me know whenever you are done.
So when you finish, does it just go to another screen?
Yeah, so when you finish, it should come up with 3 options at the top that are 3 paths that it recommends for you to take. And to be honest, I can't remember what else it shows you. If need to, we can swap and you can share your screen, and so I can see what you've got.
Actually, I'm doing it on another desktop.
Okay.
So it just comes back to the choose a path, compare and make your selection.
Okay. So what does it say like right after under that? So where it says choose your path, what does it say next?
Recommended. It gives you some that
Okay.
are recommended. Mhm.
Okay. So yeah, so then look at the 3 that it recommends, and I think you might be able to click on view details or something like that. And so you can see the ones that it recommends and see if that makes sense. Yeah, you might want to do one of those. Or if you want to look at one of the other 8, you can also look at those view details. Once you've decided which path you want to take, then go ahead and click on that to select it. And then whatever button says next.
So do we have to select one tonight, or we're just doing this for demonstration purposes? Like if we select this one tonight, is that the one we're stuck with? I would kind of like to explore these a little bit more.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So you can, you don't have to select it tonight. If what I would do is if you're not quite ready, don't hit select tonight. You can change your mind, but you only have 30 days to do that. And so sometimes, I don't know if you know enough within 30 days. I'm also going to put a website in the link. That will, I'll put this website in the link for you in the chat, because so District 4, they have set up a really good website that gives you a lot of details about these paths. And so if you come in here and it'll go right to the pathways page that they have. They've got different things that you can look at. You can look at the overview, the 11 different possible paths, the levels. And when you come down to, I think they've got a couple different ones, but if you come here to the paths and projects tab page. So for example, dynamic leadership, it'll give you all the information about dynamic leadership. It'll tell you what you're looking for, and level 1 on all paths is exactly the same. So you don't need to read level 1 every time. Level 1 is exactly the same. Level 2 is a little bit different. You've got leadership and communication style, but for the most part, they're the same, but they might be slightly different. Level 3 and 4 is where it gets different, and you'll have a lot of different electives that you can choose from. And you'll start to notice that a lot of these electives are also in the other paths too. So, you know, this one might have 15 electives, the next one might have 12 of the same, but 3 new ones. So you'll see a lot of the same ones over and over. And then same with level 4, it'll have some electives, and level 5. So let me put this link in your, let me go back to where I want it to go. Let me put this link in the chat. I'm gonna have to stop sharing for a second. For some reason, I lose all my buttons when I'm sharing my screen. But take a look at that website, and that might help you make a decision. And there's some that are pretty similar. So I think no matter which one you select, you won't go wrong.
I finished up.
Okay.
I didn't want to interrupt you, but.
Okay. So you should have also had the options at the top where it gave you the 3 recommended paths. And as I was explaining, you can either choose one. If you know one of those looks about right, what you want, then you can go ahead and hit select, and then you'll be ready to start your path. Or if you want to do a little more review and reading on what the paths are, that's what that link is for. So you can study some of the paths a little bit more. And if you click on the view details, it'll give you a lot. This website I gave you is going to get pretty detailed. So, you know, if you click on the view details, it'll give you a high level. And if you want serious details, come out to this website. Okay. So let's go over here. So now I'm going to go back. So then after you've chosen your path, when you log in and you're going to go to Basecamp, you'll come back to this screen, and then your club right here, if you're only a member of one club, it'll just give you one option. And so that's easy. And then you just say, go to Basecamp. And when this pops up, I'll walk through what this looks like. So when you get into Basecamp, there's a few things that you'll use, and then there's some things that you might use later. But here, if you go to Paths and Learning Education Transcript, that's where you're going to click on your path. Or you can come down here and it'll be listed here. I've got 2 paths that are open, so I could open either one of those and start, and we'll do that here in a minute, and I'll walk you through that. You can also go to speech evaluations if you want to get evaluation forms. you can come in here and they've got all the forms that you need. Now, there's a lot, right? There's a lot of evaluation forms. So knowing which one you need exactly, you know, you need to know the name of the project you're working on. But other than that, you could click on that. And when we get into your path, I'll show you how to find the evaluation forms in your path, but that's another option you have. You've got your tutorials and resources. You can also share feedback with the members, other members of a speech within Pathways. So if you want to, if people want to give you feedback, they can do that. You can collect badges as you finish levels and paths, you collect badges. But the other one that I wanted to show you here was My Documents. This is where you, if you choose, you can upload your evaluations. When someone gives you an evaluation, and if it's an electronic form, you can upload it here to save. You don't have to. This is optional, but it is a good place to store your evaluations if you choose to. And then they've got it broken out by level for you to do that. Okay, so that's your basically your home page there. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Visionary Communication. And when you come into Visionary Communication, they'll all look very similar. Everyone has 5 levels. And so you'll start with level 1. Now you have the ability to see all the projects in all the levels. So if you want to go out and explore what level 3 is, you know, feel free to do that. I personally wouldn't get too far ahead until after you've done level 1, just so that you aren't, you know, confusing yourself for things, but start with level 1. Then once you get in here, you'll have your different projects. So for everyone has an icebreaker, which is a 4 to 6 minute speech, basically just to get up there and get comfortable. And so every project will have these blue buttons. The first button will say activate. After you hit activate, you'll hit launch. And it will open up in another screen once you hit launch. And then this is where that computer-based learning part takes place, right? So you've opened up your level 1 icebreaker speech. And so now I've got a tutorial that I can walk through to help me with my very first speech. It's going to give you some tips on what to do and things like that. And we're not going to walk through the whole thing tonight, but I'll give you some tips on what to do when you're walking through it, because there are some things that people miss. And so I just want to make sure I point those out. Okay, so at the bottom here, there is a menu. If you click on the menu, you can jump around if you need to. So if you get, you know, halfway through and you're like, wait a second, I wanted to go back and read, you know, my assignment, make sure I understood. You can jump around if you need to with the menu. Anytime you see a maroon box, you need to click on it, because that means there's something behind it, or it's going to take you to a different page. Now this one's just a picture, so you don't want that maroon box. And then to shift to the next page, you want to click on the right arrow. And then of course you can click on the left arrow if you want to too. And as I said, as you go through, it's going to have little paragraphs for you to read on each page. So this is pretty self-explanatory. It's going to give you, you know, the details of what you're going to do. And then you also have, sometimes you'll have some windows that pop up that have a directions box. Most of the time it will be in the down position, but when it's, and to put it in the down, you just click on it and put it in the up, click on it again. And it'll, like this one tells you how to view and print your project. What I do, and this is just what I do, is whenever I see a red underlined item, that's something that I can download, and I download it. One, I download it because then it's on my computer. I can just jump in and grab it quickly, right? I don't have to go back into Pathways and get it. I have it quickly. And then if I need to print it, I have it available to print or to email to someone if I needed to. And a lot of these will have you've got your checklist, you've got your project, you've got evaluations. It's got different guides for you to use for your speech. These are not required to be filled out, but they are helpful to be filled out. Okay, And then the next thing, every project will have this step. And so you're going to assess your skills before. And when you assess your skills, you've got 1 developing, 2 emerging, 3 accomplished, 4 excel, 5 exemplary, right? So before I do my icebreaker, how do I feel about myself? And then you'll answer all those questions. And then this is very important. When you're doing this, make sure you hit the next. It's really easy to get in that habit of just clicking the left arrow or the right arrow. But if you do that, you're going to miss the other 5 questions it's asking. So just make sure you hit that maroon box with next. And I'm going to skip over that. And then we're going to have some more instructions. And then this one's going to have a video. Not all of them have videos, but a lot of them do have a video. So you can watch that. Here again, you have some information you can download and save your computer if you want to, or open and look at. And then again, it gives you some more instructions. So, and I'm just going to flip through these real quick. So here's another maroon box that, you know, as I go through it, there's more pages to look at. So I want to make sure I click those. And then here, same thing, maroon boxes that have more information behind them. So, and there's some more maroon boxes there. Okay, so now we're ready to work on our project once you get to here. And, you know, basically read everything that it tells you to do, schedule your project, all that kind of stuff. Then when you get to this page, so this is you're ready to give your speech, right? So you're at your evaluation piece. And again, there's 3 different things that you can download. The evaluation resource, this is what you want to give to your evaluator. So you can download this and send it to them, and it'll have the questions that the evaluator is looking for. For the most part, the questions are all about you excelled at, or you may want to work on, and then to challenge yourself. Those are the things that it asks you. And then on the second page, it breaks it down a little bit further, and they'll give you a 1 to 5 score on that, and then put some comments in here. And then on this one, again, like I said, if it's got a red underline, I go ahead and download it just so that I have it available. Print your project is basically all those pages we just flipped through. That's what you're going to see right here in a PDF format. So the only thing missing is going to be the video that's in there. Everything else will be in here. And one page I want to show you, so this will look a little bit different than what you see in the screen, but it's the same concept. So when we go back into the pathways here in a second, you'll have the pre-project, and you'll rate yourself on these 6 things on your pre-project. And then after you do your project, after you get your evaluation, you will do a post-project, and you will also rate yourself on those 5 things. And so it's just to see, you know, how do I feel I did? Did I make some improvements? Did I not? Things like that. So, and when I go to the next button, it should take me. So now we're at the after assessment. And again, I'll click no, or I'll click next to get there. Once I've answered these 6 questions again for the post assessment, and then I click on the arrow, then it'll show me as completed for this project. But if you accidentally skip and just hit the arrow without doing the next, it won't register you as completed. So make sure you hit all 6 questions in there and then hit next. And once you go into, once you have completed it, it will put a green check mark here up at the window, and it'll show that it's complete. It'll also ask you to do an evaluation of that project. And so this is your feedback back to Toastmasters. What did you think of the project? Did it help you with what you needed? You know, where can they make improvements? Things like that. So every project will ask you that. And then when you get to the end, once you've completed these 3, then it'll ask you to submit your project. And when you submit your project, it will go to your VP of Education, and then they will approve it and give you credit for level 1. one thing to note too is when you get to evaluation and feedback, which will be your second and third speech, there's actually 3 steps to this project. It's so you give a speech and then you get evaluated on it. And then you take that evaluation feedback and you apply it to your second speech, your third speech. And when you give that same speech again as your third speech. So you give the same speech for speeches 2 and 3, but with the feedback that you got. Okay. And what we recommend in our club is to, if you want to, go ahead and give your icebreaker again. If you gave an icebreaker, but you wanted to improve on it, go ahead and give that one 2 more times. Just continue to get feedback and improve on it. You know, that's why we're here, right? We're not speech writers. We're working on the delivery more than anything. And another thing that I tell people is, because I've seen over the years where people get stuck on what to write about, what to speak about, what should I talk about? There's anything. You can talk about anything you want. Whatever you're passionate about, you can talk about it. You want to talk about your family, talk about your family. If you want to talk about when you were a kid, that's fine. Your job, whatever you're passionate about, you can talk about it. If you're having trouble finding topics even within that, go ahead, give the same speech again, or break a speech up into multiple parts. If you have a story you want to tell, but it might take 4 speeches, that's fine too. Just break it up so that you can do that. And one other piece of advice when you're writing your speeches, I use the 3 bullet point rule for speeches, because our speeches are only 4 to 6 minutes for your icebreaker and 5 to 7 for your normal speeches, your regular speeches. And with a 5-minute speech, you have time for basically a 1-minute intro, a 1-minute conclusion, and then 3 bullet points in the middle. And if you speak 1 minute on each bullet point, that'll get you to your 5 minutes. So you want to make sure that you're not talking about too much information, because it's hard to squeeze all that in there. And, because I've seen people that have fit 20 minutes worth of material in a 5-minute speech, right? And they just have to fly through it. But if you stick to the 3 bullet rule, you'll be just fine. So that is basically pathways in a nutshell. And then when you finish level 1, you'll click on level 2 and you'll see it set up just the same. And you'll go through that until you get to the path completion. And by then you'll be familiar with how pathways works. And, like I said, there's 11 different paths. You guys are going to start with 1. When you complete 1, you can go on to another one. And so if, you want to learn about maybe your first one, you want to do visionary communication, but then your second one, you want to do engaging humor. You can do 2 things that are completely different if you choose to.
So when you go to level 2 and it says visionary communication, you don't necessarily have to do that, or you do?
Well, so visionary communication is the path that I chose.
Mhm.
So this is the path, but then level 2, these are the projects that you're going to do for this path. But if we go back to my home page, you'll see I have visionary communication is 1 path, and I've got presentation mastery as a 2nd path. So it's one of the 11 paths.
And how many paths do you have to do?
So if you want to get your distinguished Toastmaster designation, you have to do 2 paths, and then a few other projects alongside those.
And within each path, you have to do probably at least how many speeches?
There are about 13 to 15 speeches or projects within each path. Mm-hmm. And some of them, they're more project related that you give a speech about. So for example, most of them have what's called a high performance leadership project. And that's where you actually lead a project. It can be anything that you want it to be. It can be within Toastmasters, it can be at home, it can be at church, it can be at work, whatever you want to do. And so just, it gives you some guides. You have a committee that gives you advice for it. And so you give a speech before on what your goals are for your project that you're working on. And then you give a speech afterwards to talk about how well it went. What did you learn along the way with that project?
But most of the speeches are no more than 5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah, most of them, every once in a while you might run into one that's 15, but most of them are 5 to 7.
So regardless of what you do, you kind of need to narrow it down to be able to communicate the results in about 5 to 7 minutes.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. It sounds like a lot when you say 13 to 15 path, different speeches that you have to give. But when you're only talking about 5 minutes or so, it may not be that much, actually.
Yeah, and it's not too bad. And the way they have it set up, it's pretty easy to want to progress through to the next one. Okay, I did that one, got it done, breathe. Let's go do the next one. And so the way that it's set up, it kind of encourages you to, keep moving forward.
Okay.
Do you have any questions, Andrea?
I don't think so.
Okay. So this is, like I said, this is Pathways. You'll talk to, your VP of Education. They'll get you scheduled. And another recommendation that I give to new members is find I just lost the word that I want to think of. The cadence. Find the cadence that works for you. So when I was new in Toastmasters, every 3 weeks was right for me. I would give a speech every 3 weeks. And I felt like that wasn't pushing me, but I didn't feel like it was too long in between that I was starting all over if I waited too much longer. So, and what I also recommend is sit down and create like your own project plan and say, okay, if I give a speech next week, 3 weeks after that would be this date, 3 weeks after that would be this date, and just kind of walk through and do a little project plan with goals for yourself to help you stay on track. Because it's easy just to keep forgetting, oh, I need to sign up for a speech, And the other thing is, if you wait till you've got the perfect speech, it'll never happen. So just sign up and do it, right? It's a friendly environment. You're going to get good feedback. And you'll also find out what your strengths and weaknesses are. Some people are great at winging it, just getting up there and giving a speech. Other people, that's really not their strength, right? They need to sit down and plan it out. And then other people that, like for me, if I plan it out, I'm too worried about what I wrote down to say. If I wing it, then I can just kind of go, as long as I have it organized in my head.
Right.
As long as I do the little outline usually. What are my 3 bullet points? How do I want to start it? How do I want to end it? And then I'm usually good from there. I don't have to write it out word for word. But the other thing is I've been told if you memorize your introduction and you memorize your conclusion, then you start out strong and you end strong. And if you have to wrap up quickly because you're running out of time, then you can always jump to your conclusion. And a lot of times people aren't going to know if you skipped anything, right? So, just make sure that you've, got your intro, got your conclusion, and then your 3 bullets. Okay.
Yeah, I had another question, but it
Okay.
went that always happens with me. It'll
Yep.
probably come to me though. Yeah.
Is there a VP of education in each group? I've never heard anyone refer to themselves that way.
Yes. So every club has 7 officers. You have a president, a VP of education, VP membership, VP PR, public relations, secretary, treasurer, and sergeant arms. So every club has 7 officers. Now, some of those roles might be held by multiple people, but yeah, and your VPE is one of your most important positions. They do a lot for a club. And so they're usually the ones that are in charge of your agendas each week. And then they have to sign off on your paths when you're complete with each level. And your president and secretary can also help with that, but your VPE is usually responsible for that. And I'm trying to think of who yours might be in Pinnacle.
Well, Jillian Swee is who sends the agendas each week, but I'm pretty sure she's president.
Yeah, she's the president. So I don't know.
Where's Pinnacle?
Is it So it's in Rogers, Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
So we're in the opposite corner that you are. So our district, for District 43, we stretch from all of Arkansas to Jackson, Mississippi, and Memphis, Tennessee. That's basically what our district is. And we've got about 100 clubs in our district.
Okay. My question came back to me. It was about mentors and mentoring. Do you guys have mentors that we can connect with outside of our club, outside of the group that we are with?
Yeah, so that's one thing that we are also working to put together, because people are so busy. It's hard to find people who have the time to do that. So that's why we've set up like these recurring meetings, because now I know every second Tuesday of the month, this is my time, 5 o'clock. But yeah, and if you're looking for people that want to help with like listening to a speech and things like that, we do have a couple people for that. If you have the dedicated to members website, do you have that?
I think that's how we found this, I think.
Okay, probably. Yeah, probably. So if you hover over where it says scheduled sessions, you can say schedule a session. And if you click on that, we've got a couple people here. We've got Judith Bernstein and Alvino Smith, who, if you reach out to them, you could probably set up some time to practice some speeches or talk to them. They are both very good and, enjoy Toastmasters. Judith loves to, help people out with their speeches. And Andrea knows Judith, she's in the Pinnacle Club. And then Alvino's in Little Rock, and he is very instrumental in that too. And we've got other people too that haven't fully committed, but I'm sure I could get them to help you out, right? And I'm sure we've got some people in Memphis too that could help you.
And the recorded sessions, they're just recordings about different things, I'm sure.
And so we're still building out the program, so you'll see more things being added as we find them. But when we find good videos, we go ahead and put them out here. And I'll check this one out and see how it is after we're done recording it. And then I might put this one out here. But, if we find some good videos that we want to share, we'll put it on the website also. And then we also have club meetings. And as I get permission from different clubs, we put it on the website. So, if you're Monday at 6:30, you're like, wonder where there's a Toastmasters meeting. Well, you can come out and find out what's available out here.
Are you encouraged to, even once you become a member of your group, are you encouraged to go and visit other groups just because you want to?
Yes, absolutely. You should always try to go visit other groups, just because every club's a little bit different, right? You get a little bit different culture in each club. You get different evaluations. You'll start to notice that some clubs start giving the same tips just because, oh, hey, yeah, and it just gets stuck in our memory, right? And so we start giving the same things. Then you go to a different club and they're like different evaluations. So that's good to know. And just seeing the different things that you can learn from those. And I would also encourage, they're going to have contests coming up because it's contest season. And so you'll have area and division contests, and they'll all be on Zoom. So you can attend, any one of them that you want to attend, and just to see what those are like. And I really found that that's where my growth came from, was when I started going outside of my home club, because I started learning more about Toastmasters in general. But it helped with my leadership skills and stuff like that when I started going outside of the club. And then you can always bring tips back to the club too, right?
Yes. Where can you find the contest, if there are contests? I know there's one coming up, I think. I've been hearing about it in our meeting, but where can you go online to find that information?
So let me see. I don't know if they have put it out here or not. Let's go look. And I'll make a recommendation if it's not out here. I know they've been gathering the information, so they might be putting it out here. Under the D43 Toastmasters.org website. Yeah, they don't have any calendar of events out here. So what I would do is, check back to this website once in a while and see what's available. Reach out ask your club officers and they should be able to tell you when the area contest is, because your club will send your winner to the area contest
Okay.
and then the division contest, etc. So in Memphis, you should have 5 area contests and then a division contest. So there should be 6 contests within the Memphis area alone. But like I said, we're on Zoom, so you can attend anywhere you want to.
Yeah, I would love to visit those contests to kind of see, even if it's in Arkansas or Mississippi, like you said, just to get some information
Yeah,
and just
and
how things are done, you know?
mhm. Yeah, and a contest is a lot different than a club meeting, right?
Mhm.
So just seeing what they're like is good experience, really good experience, and seeing the level of competitors as you go up into. So during the spring, we have 2 contests. We have the evaluation contest and we have the international speech contest. So for evaluation, you'll have a target speaker and then you'll have all of your contestants will evaluate the same person. And then they will be judged on how they delivered their evaluation, right? And then you've got the international speech contest, which goes all the way to the World Championship of Public Speaking. So every year it starts at the club level and it works all the way up to the World Championship of Public Speaking. And if you Google World Championship of Public Speaking, you'll see several dynamic winners that have won. And what was unique about last year's was because it was all on video. And so if you want tips on how to use your camera to your advantage, that is a great video to watch. The 2020 World Championship of Public Speaking was really good. He did an amazing job with his camera. There's not a whole lot you can do on Zoom, right? But he made it work. So,
I don't have any other questions.
okay. And yeah, and feel free to, stop in to any one of these sessions. If you come back next week, that's fine. We're here to answer whatever questions you have. And like I said, they're more of a help desk. Now, some of them, depending on the session, might be more instructional than help desk focused, but most of them are just here to help you with whatever your particular need is.
Will you be able to send me that recording link when we finish?
Yes. Yep. And could you put your email in the chat just so that I make sure I have it? I think I do have it, but I don't want to make any assumptions. And then, yeah, I'll send you the recording. Thank you. Let me grab that now. And sometimes it takes a little bit before they come out, so it might be later before I can do that.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah, and
Denise, is your meeting all on Zoom right now?
yes, yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All of the ones in Northwest Arkansas are on Zoom only.
Oh, okay.
I don't think we do have any hybrid meetings in Northwest Arkansas.
When is your meeting time?
So I'm a member of several. So,
Oh, okay.
So I have a meeting tonight at 7. The NWA Toast Leaders meets at 7. Judith and David and Melissa are also part of that club.
Okay.
And so we meet on Tuesdays at 7. And then I'm also a member of 2 of the Walmart clubs, and we meet at lunchtime on Tuesdays at 11:30 or Thursdays at 11:30. And then I'm also a member of a Little Rock club that meets on Fridays at 12 o'clock.
Okay.
So yeah.
Oh, by you saying all that, that prompts me to ask another question.
Okay.
So you have to do speeches for all of those clubs that you're a member of?
So I can give speeches for all of those clubs, right? And so I get on the schedule just like I would any other time, and then I can move through the paths faster, right? Because I'm giving speeches at all of those.
Oh, okay.
And I do not race through these. Some people like they race through them and they have finished several very quickly, but that's not how I do it. I love Toastmasters, so I'm usually there. I usually start off, hey, I'm going to help coach this club, and then I end up joining the club or something like that. We started Northwest Arkansas Toast Leaders a couple years ago, and we built it to be more of an advanced club, but anybody's welcome to join. But most of our members are dual members. They're a member of at least 2 clubs. You don't have to be, but it's kind of geared that way. And then at Walmart, we have 5 clubs at the home office. And so I help with some of those. And so, yeah, and then I got kind of tricked into joining the Little Rock one, but I enjoy it though. And I go every Friday as often as I can. Yeah.
I love your screen, your background. That's nice.
Yeah, Barbara put that together for us. One of our clubs at Walmart is Empowering Walmart Leaders. And what we're doing with that club is a little bit different than most clubs. And we're just finishing up our first session doing this, but we signed up 18 people at the same time. And so we started right after Thanksgiving, and we're moving everyone through level 1 together. So half of our members gave their icebreaker one week, the other half gave it the next week. And so we're moving through, and all of the members will complete level 1 by the end of March. And so that's kind of been our goal, is just to help people stay motivated and stay on track. Because I think I have a lot of theories of, what we could do better with Toastmasters. And one of the things is, I think people want that accountability. I think people kind of want you to say, no, okay, it's time to give a speech. Let's give a speech, and there's a little too much of the self-paced in it. And then people just kind of step back and don't do what they need to do. Right. And so we're trying to design a few things to hold people a little more accountable and help them through the program, because it's only going to work if you go through the program.
Right.
If you sit back and you don't do anything, well, it'd be nice if you could learn how to give speeches reading a book or watching others, but practice is what makes it work, right? So we're trying some new approaches in order to help people actually give speeches and work through the program. And so Empowering Walmart Leaders is doing that. And like I said, we signed up 18 members to start off with, and we're getting ready to start another one here in April. We're going to start another group to go through that.
Awesome.
It's a little bit of work, but it's working for our members. So they seem to be happy and staying on schedule. So, okay. Well, if you don't have any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.